Everybody. For those of you who haven't watched my channel before, I'm Kara, and this is going to be my monthly reads for October and November. I read 6 books in October and 4 in November, so these were slower reading months than the few months previously. To start with, for October, I finished reading the Cursebreaker trilogy by Brigid Kemmerer. I mentioned in my September reads video that I read A Curse Dark and Lonely, and I wasn't too big a fan of it. But decided to read the second and third books anyway. I did, I think I did like those ones a little bit more, because I found the story of Gray and Liamara to be a little more interesting than Ren and Harper's story. Um, it wasn't a bad series overall. I think I just wasn't too big a fan of it in the end. I also finished another series in October. I finally finished the Poldark series. I read Book 10, The Loving Cup, Book 11, The Twisted Sword, and Book 12, Bella Poldark. I was really glad to be able to finish the series. I mean, 12 books, it was a lot. But, I was a little sad that, the story was over, but I'm glad that I read all of them. I really enjoyed it. The sixth book I read in October was this one. This is The Shadows Between Us by Tricia Levenseller. So this one, it's about, a young woman named Alessandra. She's always sort of grown up in the shadow of her older sister and has mostly been ignored by her family. So she decides her plan is to woo the Shadow King, marry him, kill him, and then become the queen of the kingdom. So it was an interesting concept, which made me decide to read it. I'm actually not sure how I feel about this one, because I wasn't really fond of the main characters. To me, they were just not very likable. I did think the story was interesting though, so I do have some mixed feelings on this one. So for November, I read Kingdom of the Wicked by Kerri Maniscalco. This is the first book in her Kingdom of the Wicked series. And I decided to read this because I read the Stalking Jack the Ripper series earlier this year by the same author, and I really enjoyed it. So in this book, Emilia is about Emilia. She and her family are witches who, they keep that a secret though, out of fear of being prosecuted. So, Emilia's twin sister, Vittoria, is murdered, and Emilia summons one of the princes of hell, Wrath, to help her find the murderer. So this one, it is a pretty good story. I didn't like this book as much as I liked the Stalking Jack the Ripper books, but I am going to read the second book, because I'm interested to see what happens next. The second book I read in November was this one, Frederica by Georgette Heyer. So Georgette Heyer wrote a lot of Regency romances, which is what this one is. On the back, the quote on the back is, Frederica is strong and independent, but never thinks about herself. She's the oldest of 5 children, and she wants her sister to be able to make a good marriage. So she goes to a distant relative, the Marquis of Alverstroke, and gets him to help her. And then, there's just kind of all this chaos that happens. But it's a really good story. Of the few books I've read by Georgette Heyer so far, I think this is my favorite so far. I think if you're a fan of Jane Austen, you would probably like Georgette Heyer's Regency romances. Then, also for November, I reread Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel. So this is the first book in the Wolf Hall trilogy, and it's about it takes place in England in the reign of Henry VIII. It's about Thomas Cromwell, who became Henry's master secretary, and he was one of the most powerful men in England at the time. So this is a historical fiction book by Hilary Mantel. It's about the rise of Cromwell, and I also reread its sequel, Bring Up the Bodies, which was mainly had to do with the downfall of Anne Boleyn. These were actually made into a mini-series by the BBC some years back, which was what made me decide to read them. And if you're a fan of historical fiction or stuff about the Tudors, I would definitely recommend reading these ones. I'm currently reading the third book in the trilogy, The Mirror and the Light, for the first time. So that's going to be one of the books in my December monthly reads video. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you some other time. Bye bye.